When you really stop and think about it, time is the one resource you can never replenish. Money you can earn back, status you can rebuild, even health to a degree can be restored through discipline and care. But time, once it's gone, it's gone. That moment you just lived a second ago, it is sealed forever in the past. It cannot be relived, it cannot be redone, and it will not return no matter how much you wish for it. That reality is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it forces us to confront the absolute finality of life's passing seconds. Liberating because it means every single moment matters. The tragedy is that most of us treat time as though it were infinite. We act as if we can keep wasting it, scrolling endlessly, arguing about things that don't matter, postponing the steps we know we should take. We live as though tomorrow is guaranteed, as though we can keep stacking days on top of days, never realizing that one of those days will be our last. And the truth is, you don't even know when that last day is coming. For decades left, you can trick yourself into believing that the real work of living begins later, when you've got it all figured out. But deep down, you know the clock is ticking, and it's not waiting for you to get comfortable. There is a reason that when people near the end of their lives are asked what they regret, their answers are rarely about things they did. They're about the things they didn't do, the time they wasted, the words they never spoke, the risks they never took, the dreams they kept putting off until it was too late. That should wake you up. That should shake you. Because if you're not careful, you are writing your own story of regret right now in the very way you're living. What makes time so profound is its asymmetry. You can look back on it, but you can T-step back into it. You can imagine the past, you can replay it in your mind, but you cannot change it. That's P.S. why nostalgia can be so haunting. We cling to moments that have slipped through our fingers, wishing to feel them again. But the more you try to relive what's gone, the more you rob yourself of the life you still have. And that is the paradox. You honor the past not by longing for it, but by refusing to waste the present in the same way you wasted before. The awareness of time as passing should not paralyze you. It should energize you. It should wake you up to the urgency of life. Every moment you let slip away is one less moment you have to become who you could be. And the cruelest thing about time is that it moves whether you notice it or not. You don't get to press pause. You don't get to buy back yesterday. The only choice you have is what you're going to do with the moment in front of you. That's why wasting time is not just laziness, it's a form of self-betrayal. When you waste a moment, you are betraying your future self. You're robbing the person you could become of the opportunities that only exist in the present. And this isn't just about productivity or hustle culture. It's deeper than that. It's about meaning, because a wasted day is not just a day where you didn't get things done. It's a day where you missed the chance to grow, to love, to serve, to create something that outlasts you. That is the real cost of wasted time. It's not just that you lose hours, it's that you lose life. So the question becomes, what will you do with the moment in front of you? Not tomorrow, not in a week, not when conditions are perfect, right now. Because here's the truth, conditions will never be perfect. The stars will never align exactly as you want them to. If you're waiting for the right time, you'll die waiting. The right time is always now, because now is all you truly have, And if you want to know what kind of life you read building, just look at how you spend your days, because your life is not some abstract thing that exists in the future. Your life is a collection of moments, and the way you live each moment determines what that collection becomes. Do you want it to be a series of wasted opportunities or a story of courage, growth, and meaning? Think about the moment you're in right now. Even as you sit here listening, this is a moment that is passing. It will never return. You can either let it drift away without impact, or you can let it strike something deep in you, something that shifts the way you approach every moment from here on out. That's the power of realizing the irreplaceable nature of time. It forces you to ask yourself whether you reliving as though your moments are infinite, or whether you retreating each one as sacred, because that's what they are. So when you look back years from now and you think about the moments that have passed, what do you want to see? A life squandered in distraction, or a life built from moments of courage, focus, and love? The answer to that question is being written right now. With this moment, with the next choice you make, the past is already sealed, but the present is still alive. Don't waste it. Don't throw it away as though it does matter. Because it does. Every single second is a brush stroke on the canvas of your life. Paint carefully, paint boldly, paint in a way that when the moment has passed, you can look back and say, I lived it fully. Think about the way the human mind holds on to moments long after they've ended. You've had experiences that lasted only seconds, maybe minutes, yet they shaped your entire trajectory. Some were beautiful, like the laughter of someone you loved, a sudden glimpse of beauty in nature, or the pride of an achievement you worked hard for. Others were painful, loss, failure, humiliation, regret, and yet, whether we want to admit it or not, those moments don't simply stay in the past. They linger, echoing across time, shaping how you think, how you see yourself, and how you approach the present. But here's the paradox. We live in a culture that teaches us to either escape the past or idolize it. On one hand, people tell you just forget it, move on, the past is gone. On the other hand, there are those who glorify their golden years, replaying them endlessly, as if their best days are already behind them. Both of these attitudes are equally destructive. To deny the past is to amputate part of your identity. To worship it is to imprison yourself in a memory, unable to build a future that's worth living. The real challenge, the deeper truth, is to confront those moments for what they are, fragments of your story, not the whole story. They matter precisely because they are gone. The joy you felt or the pain you endured, those are real. They were lessons written into the very fabric of your being. But they were not meant to be permanent destinations. They are markers along the road, not the final home. You consider how a single mistake, something you said or did years ago, can still torment you today. Your mind replays it, analyzing what you should have done differently. And yet, in reality, the person who made that mistake no longer exists. You've grown since then, even if you don't recognize it. Time has changed you. The lesson remains, but the guilt, the shame, the self-condemnation, that belongs to a ghost of who you were, not who you are now. And if you continue to live as though you are still that person, You will suffocate your present under the weight of something that isn't even alive anymore, you know. And on the opposite end, nostalgia is no less dangerous. We cling to better times as if they were some kind of utopia. You hear it in people who say, "I wish things were like they used to be. Those were the days." But by saying that, you're remaking an unconscious confession. You've already decided your future has nothing left to offer you. You readmitting defeat, declaring that your best chapters are behind you. And once you adopt that mindset, your present collapses. You stop striving, you stop risking, you stop growing, because why bother? The best is already gone. That is a tragic way to exist. A moment that is past has value precisely because it cannot be repeated. Its uniqueness is what makes. Think about it. If every day were perfect, you wouldn't even recognize perfection. If every experience lasted forever, what gives meaning to life is the fleeting nature of time itself. You are not entitled to repeat yesterday, nor should you try. You are called to learn from it, integrate it, and move forward carrying its wisdom without clinging to its weight. There's something deeply moral in this. When you refuse to let go of the past, whether in regret or in longing, you are not just hurting yourself, you withholding the best of yourself from the world right now. Because while you re-stuck in yesterday, today is slipping through your fingers. The people around you who need your presence, your courage, your love, they not receiving it. The opportunities in front of you are being wasted because you busy obsessing over something that no longer exists. And that is not just a personal tragedy, it's a moral failure. Now none of this means you erase the past. Quite the opposite. You honor it by remembering, by giving thanks, by drawing out its lessons. You acknowledge its beauty without worshiping it, and you acknowledge its pain without letting it define you. You fold it into who you are, but you don't allow it to become the cage that imprisons you. That is the art of truly living. So when you think about a moment that has passed, don't mourn it endlessly and don't cling to it desperately. Recognize it for what it was, a gift, sometimes painful, sometimes joyful, but always finite. And then ask yourself, what will I do with the time I have now while it is still unfolding? Because you are not just a sum of the moments behind you. You are the architect of the moments yet to come. And here's the truth worth remembering. Life doesn't stop moving. Because you do, time doesn't pause to wait for your healing or your nostalgia or your indecision. It moves forward. The question is, will you? So let the past instruct you, not enslave you. Let it fuel your gratitude and sharpen your wisdom, but never let it paralyze your will. Because while those moments may have passed, you are still here. And as long as you are here, the story is not finished. Closing statement, a moment may pass, but it is never wasted if you transform it into strength. The tragedy is not that time moves on. The tragedy is when we refuse to. Let what is gone rob you of what is still possible. The moment you are living right now deserves your full attention because it is the only moment that has not yet passed. There is something profoundly sobering about realizing that life is not a rehearsal. The moment you are living right now will never return, and the time you've already spent is permanently gone. That recognition should not depress you, it should awaken you. Because if a moment of life has passed, and you did not live it well, if you wasted it in bitterness, in distraction, in avoidance, that moment is, and that's a tragedy, but it's also a call to live differently now. One of the greatest errors we make as human beings is to assume we have unlimited time. You wake up in the morning and you behave as though the day in front of you is just another day in a long line of thousands waiting for you. You delay the important conversation, you put off the meaningful work, you neglect the person you love because you think there will always be another chance. But there won't always be another chance. At some point, you will have done something for the last time without realizing it. The last time you saw a friend, the last time you hugged your parent, the last time you laughed at a childhood memory, the last time you were capable of doing something you took for granted. And those last times slip away silently, almost always unnoticed, until they're already gone. So what do you do in the face of that truth? You don't despair, you take it seriously. You live as though what you're redoing now actually matters, because it does. The way you treat the person across from you today might echo for the rest of their life. The effort you put into your work today might become the foundation for opportunities you can yet imagine. The kindness you choose to give today might outlive you in the life of someone else. Every choice is heavy with consequence, not because you can redo it infinitely, because you can Now this recognition does to mean you live in constant fear of loss. It doesn't mean you obsess over the fleeting nature of time until you paralyze yourself. That's just another form of avoidance. What it means is you cultivate responsibility. You develop a sober respect for the weight of your existence. You begin to treat the present moment not as disposable, but as sacred, And this is where meaning enters the picture. If the moments of life are fragile, if they pass quickly, then the only way to meet them properly is with intention. Without intention, you drift, and drifting is dangerous. People who drift through their days, through their jobs, through their relationships, eventually wake up to discover that years have passed and they have nothing to show for it but regret. But if you meet life with awareness, with responsibility, with gratitude, then even the most ordinary day is charged with significance. There is a psychological truth here. People find themselves in despair, not because life is short, but because they never lived it fully when they had the chance. Regret is the shadow that follows neglect. But responsibility, the act of shouldering the weight of your days, creates dignity, purpose, and strength. You know this when you look back at your own life. The times when you acted with courage, when you stepped forward despite fear, when you gave your best to something that mattered, those are the moments you are proud of. And they stay with you. They become part of your identity. That is why treating each passing moment with seriousness is not a burden. It's a liberation. Because once you decide that your time matters, you stop wasting it on trivialities. You stop obsessing over shallow comparisons, meaningless distractions, or temporary pleasures that leave you empty. Instead, you align yourself with what is real, with truth, with growth, with responsibility. And that alignment is what makes you resilient in the face of life's inevitable suffering. Because make no mistake, suffering will come, loss will come, failure will come. Every one of us will face moments we wish we could undo or moments we wish we could relive. But when you live with responsibility, when you carry yourself with integrity in the present, You rob regret of its sting. Even in the face of suffering, that you lived well, that you stood up to the challenge, that you were present. You rob regret of its sting. Even in the face of suffering, that you lived well, that you stood up to the challenge, that you were present, that you carried your burden with as much grace as you could muster. And that knowledge is a source of strength no one can take from you. So the passing of life's moments should not fill you with despair. It should sharpen your vision. It should remind you that the decisions you make today ripple far beyond what you can see. It should challenge you to live with courage, to speak the truth, to act with love, to pursue what is meaningful rather than what is convenient. Because in the end, you will not remember every day. Most of life blurs together, but there will be a handful of moments that define you. And you don't always know when those defining moments are happening. Sometimes the most ordinary day becomes extraordinary simply because you chose to live it with intention. And that is a staggering responsibility. So don't treat your time as if it were infinite. Don't treat your choices as if they didn't matter. Don't drift. Because a moment of life that has passed is gone forever, but the way you lived it will echo in you and in others long after the moment itself has vanished. Closing statement, life's moments are finite, but meaning is infinite. If you live with intention, do not let your days slip quietly into the abyss of regret. Step forward now into the weight of responsibility. Treat this moment as though it matters, because it does. And if you live each moment that way, you'll look back one day not with despair, but with gratitude that you lived fully while time was still yours to hold.